New bath. Hey man.
It's the same bath. What do you think?
I'm trying to figure it out.
I just added that bit, the corner shelf, and I redid that. So this is like one piece now. I spray painted it. I joined the pieces together, so it's like
You mean
one.
you made this?
Yeah. I shaped it. What?
That's fucking amazing, man.
Yeah. And I fixated the bath. I got some free supports there. And I finally found a way to fixate this in place. And remember, the plumbing. I sorted the plumbing out so that there shouldn't be any leaks at all. So it's like nice plumbing now.
Fuck, Tom.
Clean, huh?
This is,
Do you know how nice it is to bath here? Okay, right, let's document what the hell is going on here, where we are, and what I'm doing. So this is my bathroom. I redesigned it completely, actually. This is completely done by me. All the tiles, all the mirrors, the bathtub, the toilet, the power shower, the radiator, these mirrors, the sink, everything is designed, everything is made by me. Well, obviously the bathtub, I didn't design it. I mean, I designed this position, I designed the towel placements, like I bought the bathtub as it is, I bought the toilet, but I replaced the toilet seat and I painted the toilet seat black as hardwood, blah, blah, blah. The point is, I really like this bathtub, but the power shower that is here, it sometimes drips. So there's an issue with the power shower, but that's not the only issue. The issue is that we've got a lot of wasted space there. And when I do my props, my work, yes, I work in a bathroom, it's very weird, but like when I sand things, I like to localize it with water, so I do a lot of wet sanding. So my point is, this area is wasted, and I thought I would make a little shelf here, so the bathtub would be like one single piece. I am doing something different this time. I'm using cardboard as a stencil to figure out the shape I want. So actually, let me show you with the idea that I have. So I like the shape of it, I like the curves, but what I thought of, hey, let's inverse it. So I took this shape, I put, and I'm using cardboard because it's very quick to cut out and is a great way to get like a stencil measurement of how we're going to do things. So I put it against here. From the bottom I traced it and I cut it out with this knife, Stanley knife. So now we've got the shape here, and then I want to inverse it so the overall shelf would be kind of like this, using this piece as a way to figure out how I want the shape. So I'm still in progress of figuring out this piece, but this is the base starting point, and then next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna align this, and I'm gonna cut this out so it's like that in a way. So yeah, okay, so here's the base shape cut out, and I got these correct lines here as well, except that area I think needs adjusting. There's slight gaps here, but it's cardboard, so it's not the best material. Here it's good, but like if I have folds here I'm gonna have imperfections like in the cut. And yeah, but it's my first time really working with cardboard to use it as a stencil, and I think it was a good idea to actually just do that, to quickly sketch out a stencil, like a little blueprint, instead of actually cutting wood. So I just traced this whole piece out on this hardwood, but I'm gonna have to join it because I'm out of material here, so I'm gonna have to reattach that to this piece. Luckily I got a nice little angle here. I'm not sure what hardwood this is, but I'm very sure it is hardwood. It's not chipboard, it's not pine, but yeah, it's hardwood. So yeah, just using my 3-in-1 tool that I made to join these two hardwood pieces. So you got just a nice little 50-50 angle, and then you just gonna use PVA glue and clamps just to glue that in place. Then I can continue the shape and finish it off. Okay, so that's both of the pieces glued with PVA glue and like 4 clamps. So that will be the basis of the shape. So it will be that. So now I'm going to cut the bottom, cut this off so I can put this underneath. Okay, so now that that fits under it, and let's have a quick look, just to give an example. I marked out some lines with a marker pen of where I need to root out a recess so that this would sit flush with the bathtub. So I'm gonna route that out with this router outside.
So it's raining outside and I had no option but to do it in here, so fun.
Very messy at the moment, but we'll get there in the end. I've got some supports here that will push up from the bottom. So when I put the JB Weld filler in between from the bottom first, it will squish it nicely and make it all even. Like for example there, it is lower, the corner is lower than it should be. So I'll need to use one of the supports to push it from the bottom up. Okay, we've got like 4 bases at the bottom. So now it will give good support, strength and push when I got the JB Weld at the bottom of those pieces. And I'll be able to rest on it as well. I'll be able to both rest on this side and this side. I haven't got one in the corner yet because I want to get the JB Weld down first, and then I can make another one of these and slightly shift it as it starts curing. It will have around 24 hours to cure anyway. Okay, so now I'm pretty much ready to go. So I've got the base shape cut out. This is cleaned, this is dried. Underneath here has been grinded, and then I used the brush to get rid of any dirt or anything. This is pretty much clean. And I got a JB Weld mixture that is going to go into the corner here, overlapping to the middle side. But yeah, so that is going to just create a nice squish when I put in these support rods from the bottom, and it's going to push up. But first of all, I'm going to start applying the JB Weld onto this carefully. Okay, I'm actually quite surprised how much there is left over. I thought I'd use this whole thing up, this whole JB Weld thing. I haven't done this one yet because I want to get this one in place first. And the way I'm going to do this, I'm going to push this up first, and then I'm going to remove it to see how much squish and where the squish went, to see if I am making good contact. If not, I'll put more where there needs to be. Okay, actually didn't have to remove this one at all because just when I squished it, it just stayed in place by itself, so you could tell that the squish is very good. However, that place, I can't move the support, I can't push it any higher up. So this is clearly lower than that side, so I'm gonna have to add on JB Weld to level it out. However, the squish, look how great the squish is here. So we've got some JB Weld coming out from the top, so I'm just gonna grab that little spatula and I'm gonna smooth it out. Okay, for today I'll leave it like this. So although areas like this are not filled and that has issues, that the wood on the left side is lower, I want it to cure first before I do any more mixtures of JB Weld. So I'm gonna let it cure for 24 hours and then I'm gonna top it up, like in this area. I'm gonna make sure all is even, this area, and then the edges as well before I do the sealant, and before I do any filler, and before I do any water protection, blah blah blah. So around 4 hours elapsed and the resin underneath was hard enough for me to put another layer on top. So now it's getting more even that area where the wood is, it's slightly lower, but now we're getting more level. So one step at a time, and after I put the resin on, I use wet wipes to clean the area that hasn't been sanded. Because the edges, I use the angle grinder to make it a rough surface so that the resin bites on. But remember, we've got resin from the bottom and the top, so it's like clamping down. So it's not like it's just going to be sitting on top, so I'm going to have a quite nice force. Okay, on to the third layer, and this time I decided to use a Dremel to Dremel out a little crack that I made into this because I wanted to remove the stress point. So where the crack was split, I made it so it's round now, so there shouldn't be any stress points anymore. And this is nice and solid. And I used a drum sander like this to start leveling this out so it flows together. And now I can put JB Weld here, and the rest of the seams. And I also Dremeled with a drum sander 2 splits of wood, so I can make sure that there's no cracks at all. So yeah, I Dremeled out a little concave area so that it goes under and squishes into the wood, bites into it, rather than just sits on top. Okay, so the shape is very slowly improving. Been putting more JB Weld on and sanding it so you can see it's getting more and more seamless. However, there still is quite a large dip in there, and I just tried washing that area with water, and I found a little puddle there. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to use this little scraper that's been pretty much flattened with I grinded, and I'm going to use this kind of method to brush on JB Weld to fill in that little gap. Here on the other hand, it's pretty much perfect. I'm gonna fill in a little bit here, and I'm gonna Dremel out even more of a concave area here and here as well. So that is where we had a little split in the wood. So also this is a little bit wet because I just washed the area, so I need to dry it, because obviously hardwood plus water is not a good idea. But it will be sealed eventually. But yeah, we're getting there. Oh, that's hot, fucking hot. Ow, ow, ow. Hot, 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 hot. Ah. Okay, so for the next step of the shower shelf kind of thingy, I also decided to model and print these things. Now these are just there for stopping the water from just dripping down on the floor, and same here, so that any water that comes here, it goes back in. So yeah. Very nice round pieces, like little ramps. And I'm just gonna super glue them in place basically and clamp them down. So I put loads of super glue on both sides, that and that. And once it's welded together, I'm also gonna use JB Weld as well, just to smooth things out. I also scored in some angle grinder marks. As you can see, they're crisscrossing each other. And that is so that the resin bites into the object and locks it in place, so it doesn't just lift off the hardwood or this. So there's going to be one solid piece basically. And I also Dremeled out a groove here because I want to bond that better as well. So yeah, I'm gonna use it. It's not resin, God, it's epoxy. I keep mixing that up. Okay, so the first layer of JB Weld to fuse these little corners is on top. Obviously we can still see the grinding marks, so I'm gonna do a few more layers of the JB Weld, and there's a little bit of a dip here, so yeah, more JB Weld to come, but give it a few hours and then I'll top it up. Okay, I can finally do some putty work. So the shape is very good, so now it's minimal refinements that I need with the shaping here, but it's hard to tell obviously when I got so much JB Weld epoxy in random places. So the putty is really going to help us fill everything in and make things equalize. So I masked out what will get hit, and I'm going to be careful with the direction that I spray in so that the putty doesn't get in the bath. Everything's been cleaned. I blow dried it as well with a warm blow dryer because obviously there's hardwood and some water got on it a brief moment. So yeah, let's do this.
Okay, so I do have a mask on, because obviously putty filler is not good for your logs. So this is the first coat, and I went rather heavy with it, so I'm going to give it around half an hour to an hour to just harden, and then I'm going to do like 5 more layers. Looking good.
Okay, so the left side I had putty on it, and I had that for around a week, and I just took my time with when I wanted to sand it. So this is sanded at 80 grit, so I'm going to put another layer of putty. It's pretty much perfect in terms of smoothness, but I want to go down to around 180 to 200 grit, so I'm going to do another coat, and I think that'll be it. I haven't even done a single coat of putty yet, but I'm going to do that now. Just going to have to cover up the toilet so no putty goes on that. Okay, it is shaping up very well. However, there's one thing I just remembered. I have a little dent here. That was here when I actually bought this. And this is not filled in nicely at all. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to grind it out with an angle grinder. Just the top layer of it. Just to get rid of this, whatever this filling is, because it's not good. And then I'm going to fill it in with JB Weld, but however I'm going to mask around a little circle so that I don't go over what I need to fill in, because I don't know if I can merge the original paint job with my new paint job, but since this is already obvious that it's there, I might as well try. Okay, so it turns out, after using an angle grinder, it turns out this is much deeper than I expected it to be. However, I got down pretty far, so now I can mask around it and then put in the JB Weld. It won't be a problem to sort this out. Okay, so here we go. We've got the area masked, and we've got the JB Weld ready. Don't need a lot, but that should fill it in nicely. Okay, so I know it looks pretty severe right now, and it looks quite large. And it is quite large at the moment, but once it cures, I can actually sand it down. And besides, this whole bath is pretty scratched anyway, so once I sand it down, I can actually buff the smoothness back out, because the way this texture is achieved actually is just by buffing, to be honest. So just get back up to high grit sanding paper, like 600, and just buff it out with a buffing wheel, and it'll be as good as new, really. But of course, obviously, this is going to need to be painted as well, so that's something to consider as well. For the next step, so since this area is a little bit thinner than this, I printed out this, so that would replicate kind of the thickness of this, which is around 5mm. So I modeled this in 3ds Max, and it's around 5mm thick from the side, and around 2mm thick on the top side. And we've got holes here that I could use with some wood screws. Now those wood screws are going to have to be quite short, so I'm going to use some super glue on the top side, and just to make sure that it holds in place, I'll use some screws as well to fixate them in place. And then of course the similar JB Weld process and sanding, because there are a bit imperfections in the dimensions and the measurements of this. And then I'll do one in the middle as well. Sanded with 600 grit sandpaper, only tiny bits to fill with filler, here, and even the bath itself. So that has been sanded to 240, then 600, and I'm gonna putty it as well. And then we're on to paint. So just try doing a little spray paint on the bottom, but it does not look good. Got a bit of weird, see, this is why I hate nitrocellulose. But I think this is because I didn't dry it fully. I should have used a hairdryer to make sure that the putty and the whole area is warm dry, because I just used a towel. So I think that was a mistake, and maybe I should have heated up the bottle of nitrocellulose. Yeah, so, oh, I don't think it's nitro, I think it's actually lacquer, so that's a bit different actually. So yeah, I'll wait until this dries tomorrow, and then I'm gonna sand it to 400 grit, and then see if I can work on top of that. Okay, so I found a way how to mount the side panel. And first of all, I created a little blockage so that the side panel doesn't go in, so that blocks it off, and I drilled it to the top wooden piece. And now I'm going to drill these supports into the concrete, into the floor. So I'm just making sure they're right angled and that they hold up well. So now I'm gonna drill, I think just one in each side. There's no point in doing that and that and that. So just one here and one at the top as well, like that. And they're all mounted, as you can see. Got two here, one here, and one from this side because I wouldn't be able to access from that side. It'd be too difficult, so I just put it on the same side. So now we've got masking tape on the bottom, so I can identify where the wood is, and then I could drill through the cover and go right into the middle of each one. So I've got this pushed in temporarily, as you can see by these wooden blocks. They're holding it in place at the moment, and now I can see where that is, and I can see the top of it. So I need to drill a hole here. And for this side, I don't think I'm going to drill anything here because you would see this. So I think I'm going to drill a hole here and one for that one. And for this side, I will decide in a minute how to do this. But yeah, so I'm going to do those two first and see what to do onwards. I put in this little block again to prevent the panel from going in any further than it needs to. And then I'm going to somehow, I think I'll use a Dremel to make pilot holes into the panel and through that so I can secure them. Ignore the kitty tray, but basically this is how I'm going to drill the holes. So I've got a Dremel here and that, because obviously I didn't think to drill. Well, it would have been really hard to actually align the holes like that without this method. So yeah, I'm going to do it like that. Okay, I think this is the most thorough prep work that I've ever done. So everything is masked that I might get hit, that I might touch while spray painting. It's been cleaned as much as possible, masked the toilet, masked the bottom, and the lacquer is in a hot tub right now, just warming up. So now I'm going to put the mask on and just going to spray everything.
Okay, I'm gonna leave it at that for the first layer. I'm gonna do very thin coats. Very thin. Every 10 or so minutes. Okay. What do you think? Pretty happy with that. Although I need another can of spray paint. I ran out, so. The thing is that I only planned to do the left shelf, but I ended up doing that corner and ended up preparing the bottom of the tub as well. So that's why I ended up having to use more. But I mean, fucking hell, look at that. That looks so good, doesn't it?
Okay, sadly I ran out of spray cans, but I mean, this looks pretty good as it is. You can see it there slightly. Well, I can. But yeah, this is very good. So I used up the whole can, and I wouldn't mind another coat. So I'm gonna get another of those spray cans because this worked incredibly well. I mean, look at that. And it dried within like 4 hours. And yes, there's water there. And that paint is formulated to cure to touch within an hour, so that's why I already washed it. And yeah, it might be a bit drastic, but it's like rock hard, so it's safe for that. And yeah, I thought I'd clean up the walls just to make it a little bit more presentable, because I want a bit of a break. So I'm gonna get some spray paint next week, and then I'll do another coat. But yeah, this came out incredibly well. Look how good that looks. The only thing that's left is new flooring and new threshold here, and then I would make a little barrier at the bottom of that will be connected to the bottom here to prevent any water going down there, so that will be watertight as well. But I'll leave that till another time. Like, yeah, this is great. Look at that. So you know what, I decided not to get another spray can. Well, I'll get a spray can, but I'm not gonna paint it. Because the idea of perfection, like if I'm gonna pick at one thing, like I can see there's a bit of a difference here to there, I'm gonna be picking at everything else. I mean, I fixed where the hole was kind of thing. I'll leave it at that. I mean, this is good enough as it is now, except the bottom, of course, that I'm gonna fill, because otherwise my cat goes under there and then I can't find him. Got a little bin there under that, which is really nice, which is a good idea that I decided to keep the panel from going like this Instead, I used the original panel, so there's no extra work needed to be done in terms of remaking the panel. So reusing the panel as it was is just a perfect idea, and yeah, I love it. I mean, oh, it's so cozy now. Just had a bath for like an hour, just laying down and just so relaxed. It was great. So yeah, very happy with the outcome, guys. Thank you for watching, and although I didn't show much of the process of how I actually did them, I documented what I did, which I'm happy with. To be honest, I'm just making these videos for myself, just like a little log of what I'm doing. Take care, guys. Thanks for watching. I just put food in Normie's bowl, but he can't get over this. Come on, you big cat. He's such a lazy cat, he can't jump. Hey, no. That's cheating. No. Cheating. That's cheating. Normie, come on, you can jump.